Hello, guys. I am Shane Davis, 20-year comic book veteran. I'm here with Yanzi Lin, and today we are again covering the Neil Gaiman allegations, fiasco, and of course, cancel culture in full swing. And we talked a little bit about this before, and I'm going to predict where this is going to go towards the end of the video. You definitely will want to hang tuned for that. But where we're at today with Neil Gaiman is a couple of things. One being Netflix is ending Sandman at season 2, right? They've already shot it. They have too much money tied up into it. They're going to go ahead and air it. But what people probably aren't noticing with the Neil Gaiman cancellation is this Kickstarter project. This Good Omens Kickstarter project. Now, this was the #1 Kickstarter project at one point in time. This is about $3 million US. It was beat out by a G.I. Joe collection. Now, that collection did beat it, but it raised more money. It was a higher volume of work, a couple of $100 buy-in. It took that to beat this project. This was the #1 Kickstarter project, beating things like Keanu Reeves, Berserker, things like that, the biggest comic on Kickstarter. Now, it is late, and because it's late, we're going to get into it, but it looks like they've been hit up with tons of refund requests, is what I'm predicting. I can't say that, but it looks like that because they're absolutely responding to the Neil Gaiman stuff and offering a refund for any purchases up until Friday.
Now, guys, a very quick recap on the Neil Gaiman stuff. So he's accused of doing inappropriate sexual shenanigans with a bunch of legal age women. I have to emphasize that. All right.
Right.
The big argument now is not whether it happened or not, because Neil Gaiman himself wrote in his blog and said, yeah, it happened, but it's not non-consensual. So it's kind of like he's saying, yes, it happened, but we disagree on the degree of how bad it is. That's all it is down to. So quite allegations now is, I'm not so sure if that's even the right word anymore. But anyway, back to the Kickstarter thing. So they raised almost $3 million American dollars, and they had to do an update recently. Now, before we get to that, I want to point out, so the campaign was supposed to ship back in July of 2024, which I would say was around the time when the allegations came out. Remember, there was this podcast that talked about it. Now, I just shipped around this time, I would say they have been in the clear. Unfortunately, it took a little longer to work. You can see back in December, they started talking about drawing it. So Colin has been working diligently ahead on the graphic novel going to print next month. And then they had this update 2 days ago, talking about, getting to the release, so some snapshots, blah, blah, blah. This is the part we want to focus on, though. We locked refunds in mid-November due to where we were in the production process, but no longer maintain this freeze in light of new articles and allegations. While we cannot speak further on the subject at present, we have chosen to reopen a short refund window for those who would no longer like to support the graphic novel until Friday, 7th February. Please contact us. It has also been agreed that Neil Gaiman will not receive any proceeds from the graphic novel Kickstarter. Given that the project management, production, and all communication has always been under the jurisdiction of the estate on behalf of Good Omens at large, this will not fundamentally change the project itself. However, we can confirm the Kickstarter and pledge manager will now be fully an entity run by and financially connected to the Terry Pratchett Estate only. So they are working to their best to scrap Neil Gaiman completely out of this project.
Right.
Here.
So this is why I'm assuming they're hit up with millions and millions of refund requests. I mean, obviously not millions, but tons. Is because they're having to promise people Neil won't see a dime of this. Now, we print our own books at 9 Lives Comics and stuff like that. Go check it out, Inglorious Rex. Please go support this campaign. But at first glance, if I had to guess, Neil Gaiman probably just lost $1 million. It could be more. I don't know how much the artist got. I'm not going to pretend to understand their deal. But if I was a betting man, I would bet at the least he just lost $1 million in this situation to keep from losing, I guess, more money or out of shame, or I don't even understand. I'm not going to pretend to understand the terms of agreement with this estate, but that's crazy. He will not receive one dime of the money from this off of allegations. Nothing that's punishable in the court of law yet, nothing that's had a conviction. One of the ladies that are complaining remained an employee of his nanny, and hung around for a long time and continually had what I guess was her stake in an abusive sexual relationship. What this means is he's getting hit from all angles, right? Like the TV show is now going to wrap up in what, like one episode or something like that, right?
That's right. So Good Omens actually ran for 2 seasons so far. They were both multi-episodic seasons. And suddenly they say, well, season 3 is just one 90-minute episode. And more importantly, Neil Gaiman is no longer listed among the show's executive producers for the final episode. So they really were doing their best to say, okay, Gaiman has all these allegations against him. Not guilty in the court of law, but guilty in the court of public opinion. So let's just go ahead and scrub. That is also happening with The Sandman. The Sandman ending with season 2 at Netflix. Of course, they're going to say, yeah, we've been focusing exclusively on the character of Dream. We knew we only had enough story for one more season, which is season 2. So that's a nice face-saving of saying, yeah, we were going to end it there anyway. It's nothing to do with Neil Gaiman.
Right. Really nice and convenient. But, Sandman was very rich with characters. And just like the Vertigo series had tons of spin-offs, there were other siblings of Dream, Despair, and stuff like that, or Death could have been her own TV show, obviously, if they had casted her correctly. So, like, Netflix probably could have done more with this, obviously. And this was a really big thing. I want to talk about Vertigo later on in this, but what does that mean for Vertigo? One of the things here that's really bugging me, and I want to stick this point, is these allegations weren't exactly new. And I kind of thought they would just go away. And I wondered why they were coming out all of a sudden a few weeks back and at such a fever pitch. And I kind of scratched my head and I was like, well, he had this big counter with the Kickstarter, meaning like you could see this big scoreboard, this big achievement, $3 million were raised with his name involved for a book. I mean, this was a crazy comic book money right here. The number one crowdfunded comic at the time that really nobody was talking about. And I was like, yeah, that's the high watermark. That's when the fruit is ripe for picking, right? Cancel him. And it's odd that I said that a few weeks back. And, again, it was just kind of, I just said it. Really didn't think about it. And now he's not getting any of the money. So where's the money going? They're just taking it within themselves and kicking him out of it. Are they going to end up donating some of this money to some sort of females that are abused organization or something like that? I have no idea. But they're also begging people if they want to switch their tiers, they can instead of refunding. So it doesn't even, and it is a short window, but this is just weird and virtue signaling. Obviously, I still like to see things like convicted before there's penalties, and stuff like that. And I'm no fan of Neil. I mean, Neil's kind of said a lot of bad things about Comicsgate. He's spoken ill about certain people online and stuff like that before. Never met the guy. I've read a few of his books, obviously Sandman. But I don't like this for a couple of reasons. What's going to happen next, right? I mean, if everybody's like kind of picking a side, Dark Horse had canceled his publications and stuff like that, the next thing that's going to happen is Vertigo. And for people who know a little history about Vertigo, Sandman #1 was a DC comic. It was not a Vertigo comic. Vertigo was an imprint that was basically built to accommodate Sandman, but also other creator-owned books that were a little bit more edgy. But it was also a way for DC Comics at the time to keep creatives from going out here and trying to self-publish and keeping talent within and a little bit of control in the comic market, I guess you could say, and by giving them some creative rights. So I don't know if there would have been an Image Comics if there wasn't for Vertigo. Vertigo was kind of like a corporate acknowledgement of creator rights to some extent. Not saying it's great or anything like that. But if Sandman, they quit publishing Sandman. First, any of these comic works in Neil Gaiman, if they stop publication of them, it actually hurts the artists that drew these books because now they don't get royalties for those works. And there are a ton of artists that have worked with Neil Gaiman, I hate to tell you, for the expectation of getting royalties for the rest of their life because he creates bodies of work that sustain sales for the most part, not all of them, but a lot of them. And talk to comic artists like, yeah, I got this Neil Gaiman gig. I'm going to get royalties forever without naming names. And the cancel culture is okay with harming one person without any type of conviction that's innocent. To get at one person that maybe did something, they're okay with harming an innocent person. maybe multiple innocent people, multiple artists across the board. If these books go out of publication. And DC Comics, right, without this TV show and stuff, if they do what everybody else is doing and they pull the plug on Sandman, they might as well pull the plug on Vertigo. As many times as Dan DiDio tried to kill Vertigo, pulling Sandman and canceling Sandman together will kill that brand. It will take down books like Preacher. It will pull down books like We Three. It will pull down any book that's in that imprint. Now, I guess DC Comics could honor those deals and put them in other imprints like they have before with like Black Label and stuff. But the reality is there's some of those books, again, like Preacher, 100 Bullets, that everybody recognizes as Vertigo books. Fable's another one. They're part of the brand. And Vertigo itself is a brand that is recognizable in the bookstore. And it's hard to make a brand as far as a publishing arm goes. Tons of people can throw a lot of money at the wall and not get a brand to stick or an imprint to stick. And Vertigo does mean something in the publishing world. And I don't know, with this week, next week, down the road, we're really going to see the pressure put on DC Comics to follow suit with everybody else canceling Neil Gaiman. That's what I think. I think the conversation is already happening up there. I don't know. That's crazy.
I don't think it's too crazy considering that Neil has admitted that some of these stuff has happened already. So I think at this point, everyone's just saying, okay, on the safe side, since he admitted it, maybe there's worse stuff coming up. Let's just quickly get rid of his name before we get dragged down in it. So I feel bad for it. There are people who are involved in TV shows. We're not just talking about actors and actresses. We're talking about the production crew, the post-production, basically everybody up and down the whole production line is being affected by this. So imagine you finally say, oh my gosh, I got to work on a Neil Gaiman project. And then later on they hear, yeah, you heard about this Neil Gaiman thing? You're like, ugh.
And there's a lot here, whether you're a comic artist in the mainstream comic book industry and you're wondering which big writer you want to hitch your wagon to, or if you're out here doing crowdfunding and you're like, which big YouTuber do I want to hitch my wagon to with a super big channel? You have to wonder, and look, YouTube's full of these shenanigans too. You have to wonder, like, what you're tying yourself up with. And it's one thing to live with your mistakes in life, and it's another thing to live with somebody else's mistakes. I don't know how to speak about this because in some ways I am disgusted with cancel culture and how quick it accelerates and people make really big decisions that hurt people financially without any sort of investigation or outcome or anything. It's just an allegation and it just sweeps across the board. On the other hand, I want to air caution to people to maybe try to be more self-contained in your creative ventures, just as a cautionary situation, right? Like, again, I said, it's one thing to own up to your mistakes, but being affected by somebody else's mistakes in the world we live in, let's face it, I don't think cancel culture is going away. I really don't. I think it's geared into social media. I think as long as social media is around, we're going to see cancel culture really do its thing. And we can push against it all we want. But I mean, what am I going to do if I want to go support this campaign harder to support Neil? They're taking the money away from it. There is no way to push back against this unless this creative went out there on his own and said, I'm making my own book. F you guys. And I don't know, Neil's probably too old for that. He's probably going to he's made his money. He's probably retired. He's like, this is my retirement. I'm done. I'm just drinking tea all day. That's what I'm doing. If you guys will hit like, subscribe, ring the bell for notification. Let us know what you think about this, especially the Vertigo thing. I'm thinking we're going to end up doing a video on that eventually because DC Comics will absolutely respond to this. And I think they're getting pressured all around to respond to this. If you guys will, please go also check out our own independent comic venture. This is volume 3 of Inglorious Rex. If you like giant monsters fighting futuristic cities, apocalyptic hellscapes, you will absolutely love this book. And we have books in shop from our previous campaigns that you can purchase and they will ship out next day. I'll leave you guys with a trailer for this smash hit comic and we will catch you guys again with another video.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you. Truth always hurts worse. Doing good till first, reverse, now you last. Blast of the past. It's cool though. Last card, play it right. Uno. We never let up. Been down forever. Sick man, we fed up. Know that we tired. Wake up the beast that's been sleeping inside. It's time to ride. We ready to slide. Hard-headed, I will not listen. If you do not get it, that's your bad. Keep up. Up in the sky like we see you feet up. Metal meets metal, it's no keeping up. Sniper division, it's no seeing us. This here is earned, ain't no hookups. So if you wanna eat, gotta cook up. Next level on the way, better look up. So if you wanna eat, gotta cook up.